All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Gritr Q&A. And today, guys, I'm pumped, I'm hyped, I'm excited. I got energy from my toes up to my nose. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got Jason Miyashiro here. This has been in the works and in the making for a minute. Like, you guys don't even understand how long we've been talking about doing this.
We have. You're right.
Yeah. And so now we finally got it. I'm super excited. You know, you're gonna see a whole lot of bromancing happening in this video. Sure. I'm just super stoked, and thank you for taking time.
Oh, absolutely. I just because I respect you so much, and this has been fun. So I don't have a lot of time, but I will absolutely carve time for you because you mean a lot to me. So thank you. I appreciate this. I'm honored to be on this journey. So thank you.
So for those that don't know you, give a little introduction to yourself.
Let's see. Born and raised Los Angeles, California. Moved here about 4 years ago, and was doing some firearms instruction and got into IDPA about 10 years ago when I turned 40, and just wanted to do something new. Lost my father about 13 years ago. Just wanted to do something that he'd never seen me do before, and was always interested in marksmanship. And went to the range one day with a friend, and he said, my gift to you when you turn 40 is we're just gonna go shoot live. So sure, I got hooked. Kept going back to the range, eventually met my soon-to-be sensei, Masaki Tanagawa, and he runs this great group, Practical Marksmanship Training out in Los Angeles. And he saw me at the range and he's like, what are you trying to do? I'm just trying to bullseye. Took some lessons with him. It was rough, it was tough. But 3 months into it, I'm like, man, I'm just not getting this. And one day he says to me, he would call me Ninja. He goes, hey Ninja, this is like not feel-good sessions. So I was like, well, why don't you tell me 3 months ago? Because because he pushed me, and then he got me into IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association competitions, and trained super hard to just get there. First match came in fourth, second match came in first. And I'm like hooked. And I don't mean to sound boastful about it. I gotta tell you, like after our sessions, I'd have a 30-minute commute home. I'd be on my phone with voice memos. And then like a nerd at the end of the day, just write it all down and transcribe. And by the end of the week, I have just like this big old binder. Because I hate not knowing. And I was lucky to have good mentors who knew how to break things down to me and who were good learners themselves, which is, I know we're jumping ahead, but what makes a good instructor is a good learner, right? Someone who listens. And as a strength and conditioning coach too, my job is to help. So it was a very pivotal point in my life where I learned that not everybody's looking for solutions, they're looking to just be heard, and that was a big deal for me. So learning firearms and just getting hooked into competition, the first 3 years were rough. I was just trying to get to a place where I wasn't quite there yet. Then I got into the mental management system, which you and I talk about a lot. And that's when I started winning. We're on my first championship, and it just sort of took off from there. And I told you this when we first talked, I just love this stuff so much. And when you can bridge this gap between strength and conditioning and firearms, like you can build an incredible bond with those two skill sets, and they're just symbiotic of each other, and they keep feeding into each other. And I just have a passion for it. And meeting people like you who, trust me with your life, that's a big deal to me, and I know we have a good time and laugh, but I take it super seriously.
So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in and talk to you a little bit, brand new people and people with experience, right, with firearms. One of the things that I see a common denominator is they go to instructors, they go to classes, or they just start to train. And it's like there's a little bit of a disconnect. They go in it thinking one thing because their friend said, hey, you need to get really good at, the John Wick flick and shooting from center axis relog and all that kind of stuff, right?
One hand chamber checks.
Yeah, exactly, sure, right? We're gonna do CQB in the house and clear all the rooms, and you need to practice that, or you need to make sure you get super cool kit and all that kind of good stuff, right? It's, the tactical dudes. But then I go to those people and I ask them, well, hey, what did you learn from said buddy, said instructor, said class? And they can tell me a whole lot of stories, and they're like, well, this dude was super cool, and he had this background that was super awesome. But then I asked them again, well, what did you learn as far as fundamentals of shooting? How did you get better at it? And they can't answer that question, right? So it hurts me because I'm like, you guys are doing all this stuff, right? You're getting all this cool kit, getting all this cool gear, cool guy gear. You're watching YouTube videos on CQB and all that, but you don't have the fundamentals. So for you, seeing somebody walk in the door either with a little bit of experience or a lot of experience or no experience at all with a firearm, how do you tell them, what kind of suggestions do you give them? How do you tell them how to properly vet an instructor?
Oh, it's a great question, and I get asked that a lot. And for me, safety is paramount, right? So I tell them to look at how their instructor, what they do with their offhand, with a support hand. It's a big deal. Because if support hands floating out here while they're manipulating the firearm, I don't like seeing stuff like that. From a very early point in my firearms career, my sensei, Masaki, was always telling me, like, bring that hand in. You know, remember one time I had it just close enough and he didn't like that. And you know what? I don't blame him. You know, I always have my people put their hand out, or if there's like a drop mag drill, gun goes out, you know, it's like you're never, I don't even want you here with the muzzle. I want it way out there. So that would be the one thing that I would say to really be careful for, is that you really want to see the safety protocols. You know. So that's what I would tell someone looking for an instructor, is just that they can demonstrate safely and get the results that they want.
Like I said, being an instructor and you have the same mindset, like I said, giving up that right to have an ego. Because I tell people, look, you either have two ways to look at it. You can learn how to do it or how not to do it, right? But go into every class, every situation with an open mind, right? And just be listening. There may be an hour's worth of a course, but then you only really hear the 10 minutes that really pertain to you, and that 10 minutes makes a world of difference when you're in your firearms journey with your shooting and whatever else you're doing. So that's a huge thing for me, once again, with you, is just your ability to break down things and make them digestible and applicable as soon as you're talking about them. I can take it back home and I can start practicing it, take it to the range, start practicing it, and it's incredible, and I love that. And I know the guys have also picked up on that as well. They've mentioned that before. Heck, and as soon as he teaches, I can take that stuff back home and start running it and instantly become a better shooter, right? So going in a little bit deeper, somebody that's brand new to firearms, just picked up one, what are 3 examples of some good classes a newbie can take?
I mean, just any defensive class that just shows them how to store it, first of all, right? And make sure that it's, when you get home, you know how to access it safely, or store it safely, and can't be used against you. Safety protocols of ammo, and are you going to, some people get firearms and they don't want to keep it loaded, right? They want to keep things separate and their comfort level. So a class where it helps them with their confidence and their comfort. Intro pistol classes are great for that, because then they learn like the anatomy and the nomenclature of the firearm and know how to get a jam, in type 1, type 2, double feeds, how to clear it immediately. For competition, you learn to clear it pretty quick. And my claim to fame, if you will, dry fire was just everything for me. And just thinking about it and understanding the how I manipulate the firearm, and again, even when I didn't have my gun, just going through the motion, going through the reload, keeping a high workspace, being able to look through it and not having my hand down. Taking a lot of video. Video is so humbling and reveals a ton. It might feel like this, but it's only right here, because we just don't really have a lot of spatial awareness, especially when the buzzer goes off. So in a time of stress and chaos, where are you going to be? So, for new shooters, I think the one thing that they really want to look for is somebody who's going to take them through just the anatomy, right? Muzzle awareness, trigger finger discipline, understanding vision, how to aim. A lot of people, instructors will be like, just, line up the sights. Like, what does that mean? Sight picture, sight alignment. And when you first hear that, you're going, I think I know what sight alignment is. What's sight picture? And still to this day, some people can't tell you. They go, I just know that I'm like kind of superimposing it on there, and I'm like, and then what goes blurry? And they're like, what do you mean blurry? So those are big things, start off with irons and then transition to dot. Or if you don't have the eyesight, start off with dot, but you're going to lose it. So what are the little tricks there that dry fire will help you with? I think another thing with instructors too is I like just a little bit of humor to a certain extent. For me, I drive it through because a lot of times people are really nervous, and you can see them almost like really trepidatious, and they're just a little nervous. And I I think our first class with the guys, right? They don't know what to expect. They see this 5'3" dude. Everyone's looking at me like this, and I'm talking to everybody like, this is what I want y'all to do, right? and I'm looking at my neck is hurting by the end of the day, and I'm telling people, I'm like, you know, just the thing you need to know about me is I'm very humble. It's probably my favorite thing about me. And I remember Nate was like, that doesn't sound very humble. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work on his sense of humor. Just these little testing moments, you know, and really connecting with the instructor and getting homework. You know, a lot of my students dry fire, I'd say, send me a video of you dry firing, just draw 5 times. I just want to see that video. And just from that, they have a metric, right? So find an instructor who's going to give you metrics that this is what my draw looked like in June, and this is what my draw looks like in October. My instructor, after I came in first in my IDPA match, I told him, I'm like, okay, my next goal is I want to make master in a year. And he tells the story the best because he goes, like that. And just me seeing that, he said that something went off in my head. As he was saying, it takes a couple seasons, and he was like, oh, he struck a fire. And literally a year to that day, on the 3rd anniversary of my father's passing, I made master.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I think I had to break I had to be under 84 seconds. And in practice all week, I was coming in like 90, 89, 90. That day, I think I came in like 82. I think I shaved. Yeah, I was on a mission. I just remember being locked in that morning.
So I tell people as well, especially newbies, you are responsible for your training as well, right? I can't just go to an instructor and expect you to fix all of my problems. That's not how that works. You're here for as a guidance, right? And to kind of fine tune things. So if you ask me, hey, what do we need to work on? I go, I don't know. You kind of have you being an instructor and the experience that you have a broad picture of what a competent shooter looks like. But then it also puts more emphasis and work on you to fine tune those things, as opposed to me coming up and you asking, hey, what do you need to work on? Well, hey, I've been noticing that I've been yanking my shot a little left. What's that about? Hey, I've been noticing that my target stays blurry when I bring the gun up. What's that about? Hey, I've been noticing this about my stance, right? You're able to be more proactive in your training, which I think is really helpful for instructors.
That's what I love. I love watching people get it, you know, as I talk about myself as an instructor, but I'm obsessed with watching people get it in that like aha moment, right? And watching someone shoot 6 shots, I usually have them start off with a bill drill just to kind of see. Bill drill helps poke holes in your game, right? So you can see where if it's stance, is it grip, you know, kind of seeing what's going on. Sometimes I'll just look at their trigger finger placement. Sometimes I'll get over their shoulder. I'm always kind of all around them, right? Not in front of them, of course, just all around them. And same thing with like my clients when I'm training them with the strength and conditioning. I tell them, you know, I hope I don't make you dizzy because I'm gonna be walking around you because I need to see all the planes, right? So shoulder raise could look great like this, but from the side, you know, there's a little rotation or something. And I love technique and form, right? And, you know, teaching that and watching the kind of come together. And sometimes we have to break it back down. We have to reverse engineer it and then come back into it. And whether that means going less weight or sometimes a little bit more weight to make it more stable, right? The one thing that I tell people in my classes is you're gonna know what a good shot feels like. And they're like, what does that even mean? I said, I know, just bear with me, because in order to make something really, you know, like deep down buried into your muscle memory, you have to attach an emotion to it, right? So you're like, what do you mean? Like, what's an emotion? I said, well, right now, ease up on the gun, don't hold it too much and press the trigger. He goes, whoa, I didn't like the way that felt. I'm like, that's the motion, okay? Now squeeze down on it and press, though that felt completely different. I said, okay, so let's bury that in. What was that investment? There's times when I have you, if you put your hand up, right? So in some of the classes we have, I push up on your gun, and I'm like, okay, whatever muscles you're using right now to keep me from pushing you up, that's what I want you to feel, right? That's the emotion, that's the tension. Right. Instead of ambiguously saying to somebody, just squeeze the gun. Because I don't know what that means. And if someone said to me, I'm like, okay, I'm super tight, but then I start getting trigger freeze, right? I start pinning the trigger. So with my strength and conditioning clients who are transitioning to firearms, I'm starting to have them do hammer curls with their trigger finger out. Oh, big deal, huge deal. That I'm gonna charge y'all $5 for. That's a secret. I that. These are the things I wake up in the middle of the night with like a pad and pen. I'm like, trigger finger out. And I'll go to bed. It's flowing to my mind. And then 3 weeks later when I go to the range, I'm like, the control is so much different. I really do.
Give us a little bit. What's going on next year for you? What are your goals? What are you looking to do?
Looking to teach a lot more classes. Okay. Yeah, definitely love being with Gladiator. Going to compete more. Nationals, IDPA Nationals are going to be in Texas. at my home range of M160.
Yeah, that's right.
Run by Kevin Harding, by the way, is a wonderful human being. He's also the IDPA world champion. Just so incredibly proud of that dude. I mean, like quality, you know. And I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm there all the time. He literally is legitimately just a good dude, and he's trying to help. And he's the type of instructor that's training you to beat him. You know what I'm saying? Which is like how you and I are. I'm training you to beat me. Like, don't be with an instructor who's going to hold you down. You know, like if you are stagnant, then I'm not pushing you hard enough. You know, so that's how Kevin is. He's just the greatest dude, and I just love him to death. Kevin, you the man.
Okay, well, give them your socials. Let them know.
On Instagram, basically that's where I post all my stuff. JMIA23, JMIYA23, and that's where I post all my stuff.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna do a from the hip tip. Now this can be anything. Doesn't have to be related to firearms or anything. So if there was something you could say to somebody from the hip tip, what would you tell them?
Get a lot of sleep, get a lot of rest, you know, because healing is everything, you know, and we just push ourselves too hard sometimes. And everything we just talked about doesn't matter if you don't get enough rest.
True that.
I'm gonna be 50 next year. If I could buy naps on iTunes, I would be buying them every month. I swear. Actually, we should try
Number
to sell
one
some.
subscription.
Oh man.
Number one subscription.
Number one subscription.
Guys, we appreciate you for tuning in, and make sure you show up to Gritr for all of your range, outdoor, and apparel needs. Jason, I really appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Guys, check us out next time.